What wonderful patches we weave. Hey folks, today it is Josh Knowles with the Monterey Company. I'm going to be talking to you about woven patches and how to make them. So woven patches are a cloth-based patch. They're very similar to embroidered in a lot of ways, in application and in feel, so on and so forth. But there are some very stark differences. With an embroidered patch, we have a twill background with the logo embroidered on top of that. So you're gonna have a little bit more texture within the design. With a woven patch, the entire design is woven together on the same plane. If you have a marrow or a heat cut border, the border will be a little bit raised, but everything in the center of a woven patch will be flat. So just keep that in mind. So first and foremost, it always starts with your design. Every project that we do starts with your design. You need to have your design, and it's going to show us so many different things like the size that we can do, the border type that we can do, etc., etc., etc. So the first thing that you want to do is you want to open up your design on your computer screen, shrink it down until you say, that looks like a good patch size. Once you have that, measure it. If it's a horizontally oriented rectangle, it'll be the width. If it's vertically, it'll be the height. If it is a circle, it'll be the diameter from edge to edge. Your application will kind of help determine also what size you want to do. For instance, if you're putting them on hats, we recommend no larger than 2.5 inches tall or 4 inches wide. You can go a little bit bigger if your hat can support it, but those are our recommendations. Once we have that design, then we're going to talk about backing. With backing, we can do any of our backing styles: no backing, adhesive, iron-on, or hook and loop. It all depends upon how you want to apply these. For instance, if you're going to sew them on, do not do iron-on backing. You want to do no backing or adhesive backing. If you want to use a heat press, pick the iron-on backing. So your application will kind of help dictate that. So once we have your design, we have your size, we have your backing, then we can get into pricing. 50 is our minimum. We'll typically give you a quote for multiple quantities so you can see the price to quantity relation. As you go up in quantity, your per piece price comes down. So we've got all of that. We've sent you a quote. Now we get into the design. With the design, we'll mock up the design, send you proofs, and if that's good to go, then we'll send you a pay link. Once you've made payment, we get into production. And from there, we're averaging about 3 to 4 weeks. Obviously, events in the world happening may affect things, so it may be a little bit longer, maybe a little bit shorter, but on average about 3 to 4 weeks for woven patches. Now let's get into some specifics. For the design, colors do need to be solid. If there's any kind of gradient in your design, but you still want to do a woven patch, we'll ask what color in that gradient do you want to make it, because we can't do a gradient in a woven patch. The shape of your patch and the size of your patch will help determine what border type we can do. We've got a great video on border types, check that out, but our 3 main styles are marrow, heat cut, and laser cut. Marrow is the traditional kind of embroidered big border that can be done on patches that are above 1.5 inches, and if they're regular shapes. If your patch is smaller, even if it's a regular shape, we might recommend a laser cut or a heat cut border, because a marrow border can be so overpowering, it can almost look goofy. If your patch is an odd shape, then we can't do a marrow border. We can only do a heat cut or a laser cut border. A heat cut border is an embroidered border. It's not as large and as prominent as a marrow border, but it still has a little bit of texture in there. A laser cut border is a flat border. We create your patch, we cut it out with a laser, hence the name laser cut. There's a lot of other things that go into woven patches, a lot of helpful hints, and if you have a lot of tiny details, if you have a lot of crisp, clean lines that you want to maintain, we would recommend a woven patch. Another thing to talk about is AI artwork for woven patches. Very, very rarely do I get an AI art and it is ready to go. AI likes to do a lot of things that aren't possible, like gradients, shading, tiny, tiny details. They're not far off, and AI art is getting better, But don't be surprised if you have an AI art and you want to do a woven patch that we may have to make some simplifications to be able to do that. If you have any questions, if you want to get samples of woven patches, feel free to let us know. Put in a quote request. See how much your project is going to cost. Like, click, subscribe, share our videos. Thank you so much. Have a great day.